Right, a very good morning to you all. I hope we're all good. It is Tuesday. It's the 23rd of April 2024, St George's Day, and I'm here to bring you a look at the weather for the UK for the next week or so, and then a sneaky peek at the longer term trends up to the end of the month and slightly beyond. First of all, I'd just like to start off by saying if you do like this content, please do like, share, and subscribe. I do these updates every Tuesday and every Friday, and I'm getting some really positive feedback. So, yeah, if you could just do that favour for me, just click that subscribe button, and then you'll be notified every time I update my forecasts. So we'll take a look at this central England temperature where we usually start, and if you've been following the forecasts, you will note that the temperatures have fallen back slightly. We're now running at 10.3 for the month up to the 21st. That's 2.4 degrees above the normal. I think a week or so ago we were about 3.2, 3.3. So it has fallen back, but yet a couple of people have asked me, are we going to get a below average month? Well, I think it's going to be extremely difficult to offset such a warm start to the month. It is cold, but some changes are on the way. Things are going to slowly start to warm up, and I'm going to give you some detail and show you how that is going to play out. So if you do follow these charts, I'll always start with the anomalies as well, and no prizes for guessing that certainly across the UK in the last few days it has been cold. We've got high pressure sitting out in the Atlantic just to the west of Scotland. We've got low pressure sitting over Denmark, and we're drawing in a run of northerly breezes. Nothing too strong, but it has been cold, and overnight temperatures have fallen on occasions over the last few days, and there have been some frosts around, and this morning was an example of this. Many stations across the UK were close to or slightly below zero, but of note, look at this, 0.3 at Langdon Bay. That's on the southeast coast, juts out into the Dover Strait. That's notably cold. And also down at Lydd Airport, I noticed 2 degrees, again very close to the southeast coast. It just shows that things have been chilly, and it's still chilly now, considering what we're 11 o'clock in the morning. Many stations across the UK are struggling in that 5 to 6, 7 degree range. So I'd notice even at places like Biggin Hill in Kent, you're running at 6 degrees. Aviemore in the north, you're at 6 degrees. That's more expected. But yeah, Wattisham in Suffolk, 5.6. So it is a chilly old day, and there are some outbreaks of showery rain around. The warmest temperatures today down across the southwest of the UK, 12.9 at Chivenor in Devon, 13 degrees on the Isles of Scilly at St Mary's, and 12 degrees at Culdrose. But considering we are now at the end of April, maximum temperature should be close to around about 15 or 16 degrees. Right, changes are afoot, as I've mentioned. These are the anomalies currently across the UK. The anomaly is the temperature that is relative to the norm. So if we just zoom in on this, you can see that certainly across many parts of southeast England, we're running at 7 degrees below the norm. Less cold across Scotland. Temperatures are, in fact, slightly above average towards some parts where you've got some shelter from the northerly breeze, particularly Lee slopes to the south, and across parts of Ireland as well. You're close to or slightly above average. Over the course of the next few days, where the cold anomalies can persist, certainly across many parts of the UK, quite a cold day tomorrow, as is the case on Thursday, as is the case on Friday. But just notice by Saturday, things do start to change. We start to wind up an area of low pressure to the southwest of the UK. We start to draw up some air from a more southerly or southeasterly direction. And I think if we just fast forward this towards, say, the middle part of next week, that low pressure is still pretty much anchored close to the southwest of the UK, but we would have lost those really chilly anomalies. Still nothing fantastic in terms of temperatures. Some parts of northern Scotland could do quite well with some shelter from an easterly breeze. Temperatures closer to average, so not feeling quite so chilly over the course of the next week, or should I say in a week's time. And if we just fast forward this to Thursday, well then what tends to happen is we start to bring in warmer temperatures, but always rather unsettled. So at the moment, we'll come back to today, Tuesday the 23rd of April. We're still in that northerly flow. We're bringing down weather fronts across certainly across the Midlands. They'll be pushing into the southeast of England, and there's a few outbreaks of showers across Ireland and the far west. Tomorrow, generally a better day, less fronts around, but a cool day, as we've mentioned, a bright day with some isolated showers developing in the east. And Thursday, another cool day after a potential frost once again under that northerly flow, with just another occluded front just pushing down across the southern parts of the UK. This is where the changes start on Friday. Just see how the areas of low pressure start ganging up down towards the southwest, down towards the Bay of Biscay and towards the southwest approaches. And this is where we start to draw in a less cold but still unsettled and rather wet southerly flow. Right, so now we'll play out the precipitation. This is from the ECM this morning. If we start with today, where, as we've mentioned, it is rather cloudy across many parts of England and Wales and many eastern parts of the UK. There are showers around and some more heavy and persistent showers just working their way into southeast England this afternoon. They will clear out the way this evening, and then overnight we become dry and clear, particularly across western parts of the UK, particularly across Scotland, across Ireland, and once again we will be sub-zero with a widespread frost. Tomorrow is one of those generally dry and fine days with sunny skies, certainly to start the day, but once again showers will start to develop throughout the course of the day, more especially across eastern parts of the UK, before they generally die down later on in the day. Fast forward to Thursday, a new little area of low pressure starting to push down the North Sea brings with it the risk of a few showers, potentially wintry still over some of those northern hills. If we just push this through, this is Thursday, around about midday, the showers would have developed once again, becoming quite heavy, quite frequent, and possibly aligning themselves into bands throughout the afternoon. But yes, as I mentioned, a generally cool day once again, with temperatures struggling to not get much higher than maybe 9 or 10 degrees across parts of the UK. And once again, just the risk that some of those showers over those highest northern hills could be a tad wintry. By the time we reach the Friday, we've mentioned this area of low pressure that is then going to start winding itself up towards the southwest of the UK. So on Friday, we won't really see too much influence from that just yet. We'll still be experiencing some showers across the north of the UK, but down towards the south, we're just starting to pull in that air from the south, and I think later on in the day, we bring up the risk of some heavy showers, possibly thundery, just arriving on the south coast overnight. And then this really sets the scene for the next few days. Low pressure generally down to the south of the UK, plenty of rain and showers on offer up there. Further north, although it stays rather cool at first, there will be plenty of dry and sunny skies around, with most of the unsettled weather down across the south. With time, as we move towards the end of the weekend, that low pressure starts to exert its influence further north, so we generally become more unsettled across the UK, windy across the south, and still rather chilly in that northern air mass where you've got some of that easterly breeze, perhaps wintry over the higher ground. And then if we just push this forward through to the early part of next week, this is Monday, this is Tuesday, low pressure to the west, higher pressure over the continent, winds coming in from the southwest with a mixture of sunny spells and showers, but just potentially there's signs as we get towards the sort of middle to latter half of the week, an area of high pressure could just establish itself somewhere close to the east of the UK, but there is always low pressure to the west. So I think it's probably fair to say warmer next week, but still showery at times. So yeah, I don't think we would have lost the rather wet signature. In terms of temperatures, so I have mentioned there is a bit of a warm up on the way. We'll start with London. We start today. Look at that, really quite chilly, struggling to get into double figures, but throughout the course of the next few days, day on day, those temperatures will start to climb. A few of those ensembles are just hinting that temperatures could get close to the magic 20 degrees on some occasions as we reach early May. We just take a look at your rainfall spikes for London. So yes, it does turn warmer gradually, but the rainfall signatures increase as well. So yeah, the unsettled theme continues. Move north to Manchester. Well, there you go. Dry for the next few days. The rainfall spikes once again. They pick up towards the weekend as the area of low pressure further west starts to exert its influence across Manchester. We take a look at your temperatures, Manchester. The trend is it's up, it's slowly going up, but yeah, still rather cool, at least for a few days in Manchester before things do start to become closer to average over the weekend. And once again, although not quite as marked a trend upwards as London, there is a gradual trend upwards as we move towards the start of May. We go north to Inverness, so rather cool for you, Inverness. Not too bad at the moment. You're still in this relatively mild air, and you've had a fairly warm few days up there. Turning rather chilly from the 25th through to around the 29th, and then once again, as with the rest of the UK, there is a general warming trend. But for you, Inverness, also it is a rather wet signature, especially later on in the weekend, as the area of low pressure down towards the southwest finally starts to exert its influence further north. I think we'll just start to close this out just by looking at the predicted rainfall totals over the course of the next week. The wet signature returns, especially towards the south of the UK. Precipitation amounts widely in that 40 to 50 millimetre bracket. So yeah, just the sort of places where you don't need it. Other wet places, potentially up the eastern coasts, the driest spots, well, you're struggling on this one. I think perhaps if you were over parts of Northern Ireland and some sheltered parts of southwest Scotland, you could avoid most of the rain. But even in these places, you're still going to get possibly 10 to 20 millimetres over the course of the next week. So I hope you've all found this forecast useful. I think it's always quite good just to come back and take a look at this and keep it fairly consistent, just to give you that overall feel of the way things are going. I'll be back on Friday with the updated thoughts for the next sort of 10 to 14 days. But in the meantime, all have a lovely next few days. Look after yourselves, and ciao for now.